Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is going 8 years. I've stated this for the past 4 years. He's going 8 years. Now, my prediction still stands. Madam Secretary is waiting. She's the only chance they have. I don't care. They'll reprint ballots. It doesn't matter. There are no rules. Ask Debbie Wasserman Schultz. But here, you have U.S. unemployment rate falls to 8.4%. NBC News, U.S. economy gained 1.4 million jobs. Last month, unemployment rate falls to 8.4%, NBC News. Then you have the usual disingenuous CNN, Trump's job losses are the worst of any American president on record. Yeah, because the New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Illinois, run by Democrats, only like they're Democratic machines, and they have the highest unemployment rates in the country. And they have the greatest number of lives lost because of the pandemic. And they have the most property damage, California included, in terms of the property damage and the pandemic lives lost and also the unemployment. But so that's not Trump's fault, but here you have great job numbers, Newsweek, solid jobs report. So you have it's really unbelievable. CNBC payroll increases by payrolls increased by nearly 1.4 million as unemployment rate tumbles. Non-farm payrolls increased by 1.37 million in August versus Dow Jones estimates of 1.32 million. The unemployment rate dropped from 8.4% to 10.2%. It'll be back to record lows once you have a whole bunch of economies, and you go to the New York Times. You want to know how many economies are still closed and shut down? California, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Michigan, and Texas, Louisiana, and Florida still have restrictions. Colorado, so you're talking about, and New York is just reopening. You can look at a map here, September 4th, 2020, New York Times. You only have you have Utah, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma have the lowest unemployment rates, by the way. They've already reopened, and they're all red states. Missouri, Kentucky, West Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, they're all red states, and they've all reopened. And so you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where the economy is desperately trying to rebound. And it is, despite the best efforts of Democratic governors who just want to shut down their economies, for the best interest of the people. Of course, you have Nancy Pelosi, who gets to go to a hair salon, and, I don't get to go to the Supercuts. We don't, the normal people, just the regular average citizens like myself, we just, if I knew that you can get an attorney or some kind of paperwork or contract to go get a haircut like Nancy Pelosi did, I would have already gotten an attorney and gotten a haircut. Nancy Pelosi said, well, you know what, we had all this paperwork and it was signed off, and it's like, what, that's what you have to do? That's what you have to do? That's all you need. I thought these rules and regulations and the laws were for everyone to protect our health. Meanwhile, Democrats voted in the rain and they got pelted by hail in Wisconsin to vote in person. So voting in person is okay in Illinois, Arizona, Florida, in Wisconsin, in the primaries, by the way, that they don't have a primaries based on the popular vote. They have state primaries. Or one giant primary based on the popular vote. They have state primaries, but they want to do away with the Electoral College. But here, non-farm payrolls increased 1.37 million in August, and the unemployment rate tumbled to 8.4% as the U.S. economy continued to climb its way out of the pandemic downturn. Then you have a Washington Post article talking about voters. Jobs and unemployment. Okay, so talking about voters looking at the economy as their number one concern, not the pandemic. And guess who they pick consistently for the through in every poll, even the poll that said, and I talked about this, even the poll that said that Biden was up by 14 points a couple months back. Independents chose Trump on the economy by a margin of like 16 points. I remember doing a couple segments on that. And people on average choose President Trump over Biden. It ain't going to be Biden. I don't care what, like, if it's Biden, they have no chance at all. Like, zero chance. So you party on this channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel. By the way, be here at 9 p.m. Pacific tonight. We're going to have an amazing live stream. The economy is trying desperately to rebound. And despite the best efforts of Democrats who really care about their citizens, it is still rebounding. Democrats have no answer to this. Biden has no answer to anything. He actually, every single day, you can watch, there's GOP War Room, that's one, but like journalists now are finally like asking, my God, this man is out to lunch, one fry short of a Happy Meal. And then they have to fabricate. This is what journalism has become. It's pure gossip and hearsay. It is not journalism. You have people who are quote-unquote objective journalists who now are assuming that this is fact, that Trump said that he actually denigrated fallen soldiers. That's not, you can say a lot of things about President Trump's personality. That's not the way he is. And don't bring up what he said about McCain because you want to know in 2007 and 2008 what liberal publications, far-left publications, and just regular liberal publications were saying about John McCain. They were disparaging his war record. They were disparaging his decision-making. They were disparaging his patriotism. You can look at a whole bunch of examples. But this is really interesting. It is not Trump supporters who find the American flag offensive or allergic or, a symbol of negative emotions or negativity or it's the left that finds the American flag divisive. And I'm not even talking about the anthem protest. I'm talking about Berkeley's removal. Here, LA Times. This is in 2001. September 21st, 2001. This is like ingrained within the left. Berkeley's removal of U.S. flags from fire trucks sparks outrage. This was, 10 days after the worst day in American history. And Berkeley's removal of U.S. flags from fire trucks sparks outrage. This was in 2001 in a Los Angeles Times article. Okay, then you have just the other day, Air Force veteran quits job after told he could not wear American flag face covering. The American flag is viewed on the left as a divisive symbol. Now what does that have to do with the fabricated, absurd, invented quotes that Trump never said, but that people speaking on condition of anonymity told an Atlantic journalist one day after Hillary Clinton was published in the Atlantic, saying, oh my God, it's painful to write that, we can't have a female president sooner rather than later. Clinton is just waiting for the right. She'll be on that debate stage. And you know what? I've been asked, well, what happens if your prediction doesn't come true? Well, then President Trump goes 8 years and he demolishes and completely obliterates Biden in debates, and he wins by a wide margin. It's not even, Democrats are like, the mail-in votes will give us the win on November 4th. No, they won't. The polls have already tightened. And the polls, number one, never reflected reality. The reality is that there's a great deal more support for President Trump than people think. Most people do not care about fabricated, invented quotes from a journalist in the Atlantic. Anyone could have a hit piece on them. Where you watching this right now, if you said and did something that media didn't like, or that the cyber world or social media didn't like, someone could write a hit piece about you, say that they spoke to your friends or family or coworkers or people that you knew in college, and that you had said the most horrible, offensive, disgusting things. What would you do? That's called journalism in 2020. What would you do right now if somebody wrote a hit piece about you and said, you know what, in college or in high school or, during this person's first job, we contacted his boss or her boss, and apparently their viewpoint on pick a topic was completely backwards. In fact, this person said the following, the most offensive, horrendous things, using slurs. And what would you do? What if it was in the Atlantic? So what they've done to President Trump is literally it's the Kevin Kleinsmith, the FBI official who was indicted. This should be the Kevin Kleinsmith Journalism Award. Goes to the Atlantic journalist who wrote that article. Respected gentleman, by the way, which is interesting. A day after Clinton was published, Kevin Kleinsmith the Durham probe indicted that man because he literally had to falsify and fabricate information or omit information because they didn't have enough against Trump. Democrats their minds are completely warped. They have nothing on Trump. He didn't work with Russia. He never said that fallen soldiers, God forbid, were like whatever it is they're attributing to Trump. He never said that. That's not even within his personality. That's not part of his character or persona. President Trump's character is that he goes after people who go after him. He goes after people who go after him. The left sees that as he's capable of anything because he fights back. They want people submissive and like Bernie Sanders. They said Bernie Sanders honeymooned in Russia. They cheated him. They still blame him for 2016. And he comes back for more. Thank you, may I have another? And they want somebody that they could stomp on. But Trump fights back. That's why the other day he's like, oh yeah, you know what? Check to see if your your ballot was cast. And they're like, oh my god, he's saying people are going to vote twice. That's impossible. Isn't it impossible? If you've mailed in your ballot, then of course your vote would be counted and you won't be able to vote twice, right? Well, you're telling people to break the law. How is that possible, though? They spent 3 months saying that everything is like completely perfect and pristine and there's no way to vote twice and there's no way your vote won't be counted and then Trump says, you know what? Okay, let's test this. Oh my God. That was going to cause so chaos and division. In Iowa, they couldn't even tabulate who won Iowa until their own Iowa, the first contest in the Democratic primary. They couldn't even tabulate who won because they used an app linked to Clinton campaign officials. You watch. Hillary Clinton's going to be on that debate stage. And God bless Biden. It doesn't have to be a calamity. I'm not predicting any God forbid calamity. Chas v'shalom. That's a Hebrew word. God forbid. I'm saying that I don't trust the Democratic Party because they cheated Bernie Sanders. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. 4 other DNC officials were forced to resign. They've lied about everything. Media has stated without evidence everything from Trump getting a shower in a Moscow hotel room to just recently, oh my God, he's not going to leave the White House. They make statements without evidence, claims without evidence every single day. And then they are apoplectic and hysterical and fanatical when they say, oh, Trump made a claim without evidence, oh my God. But President Trump's economy, I mean, you look, it is not a Trump thing to denigrate American soldiers or the United States of America or the American flag or the symbols of this country or God forbid, our fallen soldiers. It is President Trump who is actually removing Americans and ending the longest-running war we've had in Afghanistan. It is Trump who's doing this. And then they say the Russian bounties. Well, we need to get out. See, this is the mind of Democrats. Oh, Russian bounties. What are you going to do, Trump? Yeah, we're getting out of these areas of the world. What? You can't do that. You have to keep them there and then do something that would address Russian bounties. It's like they're all public relations. Nobody cares more about the military than President Trump. And we see that because he is actually removing soldiers from Iraq. Democrats want them to stay in these regions, these counterinsurgency regions, forever. Literally forever. You have Democrats saying, "Oh, it's just like Japan and Germany," which is what the Bush administration officials were saying. Karl Rove was saying that. They're literally saying the same things as Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Karl Rove, everybody who got us into these never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. But you can't expect, look, Democrats think Trump is capable of anything because they're capable of anything, and also because they view the president as something he is not. He's not the monster they view him to be. They have literally convinced themselves that he is the reincarnation of 1930s and 1940s Germans. These people on the left, Democrats, media in general, they've completely lost any semblance of rational thought, of critical thinking, of logic, like basic logic. That's why they have to make all of these leaps of logic, and that's why they have to make all of these absurd analogies, and that's why they have to literally fabricate and invent quotes in an Atlantic article, because they have nothing on Trump. He's actually removing soldiers from our never-ending conflicts that Bush started and President Obama continued and made worse. Just ask the people of Libya. Give me your thoughts below. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific for my live stream. We have the best live stream, late evening live stream in all of YouTube on politics. And subscribe right now to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll be ramping up content on that channel very soon. The economy is slowly rebounding, people. President Trump's going to win in large part because he's viewed as a president who presided over record low unemployment. We had record low unemployment before the pandemic, and everybody knows that the response to the pandemic, Democrats gleefully shut down their states but allowed people to vote, which is bizarre. So you can't work, but you could definitely vote in person in long lines. And that's a whole other story. But everybody knows President Trump has tried to open up the economy. And immediately, a while back, and every time he does, oh my God, CNN, against the advice of experts. And Biden is even saying, if the scientists tell me to shut down the economy for 3 months, no problem. It's like, then these are the same people who complain about food lines and unemployment. It's like, do you know what you're doing? Do you think that you're not causing all of this? Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Be here 9 p.m. Pacific for an amazing live stream tonight, a really special one.